Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. In this one I'm gonna talk to you about Logstash. This one right here. Logstash is an open source. It's used for data processing with pipelines, and you can ingest data from various sources, then transform it and send it to Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is not the only one where you can send it. You can send it using different outputs plugin. For example, if you have a Grog system and you like to send it to Grog, you can do this one with Jelf output plugin. But in our cases, we were going to focus today on the UDP input plugin and Elasticsearch output plugin in Logstash. Download Logstash. To download Logstash for our CentOS system, we will right click here, copy the link address. Let's go to the CLI and let's do a pw lel. Okay, we have the previous packages downloaded, so we will download Logstash this time. Next, we will download the SHA some file to see if the package is valid. Let's make sure that everything is okay. And it is. So we can proceed with the installation. So let's install it with RPM -i. You can also do a -- install, but I'm gonna do it with -i. It's much easier, I would say. And then the package, and hit enter. So that the application is installed. Okay, and here I'm gonna create a directory called Logstash. And in this directory, I'm going to create a pipeline, which is actually a file with the extension .conf. So let's call this one syslog conf and hit enter. In this pipeline, we will need to specify an input, a filter, and an output. And to make sure that we don't reinvent the wheel here, we can Google for some examples for Logstash. Configuration example. And here there is a guide, a reference guide. Okay, there is one right here. And it has 2 input ports. So let's copy this one, copy, and then let's go to our CLI and paste it in. Going above, let's get rid of the TCP because I'm not gonna run TCP for syslog. Let's also change the port number to something like 1514. Okay, and here we have some examples on how to parse a message using a Grog pattern. So if the type is syslog, do this. Yeah, and let's go down. This one is pretty much standard. So we could leave it like that, or for example we could try and modify it, because this will be some kind of syslog output, and I have configured the pfSense box to send the syslog to Elasticsearch. Sorry, not to Elasticsearch, to Logstash, and I would like to create an index called pfSense for that. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is that I will get rid of this line here. We could have kept it and modified, but let's write it from beginning. So I'm gonna do Elasticsearch, then curly bracket, open curly bracket. Okay, and here I'm gonna specify the host. So hosts, and in here I'm gonna specify the local host. Since we are running Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana on the same box, so localhost dot colon 9200, and these ones, they need to be in quotes. Let's hit enter, and let's create our index in here. So we will send it to pfSense index, and we can also add some date here, like for example the year, the month, and the day. Here we will do the year, month, and day. And by the way, when you define your index name, like for example, like I have here pfSense, don't put capital letters, put only small letters. I had issues trying to put capital letters in here. Okay, so after this one, we will need to close the curly brackets that we opened for the Elasticsearch configuration. We will save it. And we can also see how it looks like in here. It's the same. Everything is good. So right now we will need to run this pipeline, and Logstash actually sits in a directory, and I'm going to show you where it sits. So for example, user share Logstash, and then the bin folder, and then Logstash. So this is what you need to do to execute as a command to start your to start your application and run it with a pipeline. But as you can see, the command is pretty long, so we can make a temporary alias for this one. Logstash will be our command, and then we will have equal quotes, double quotes, and then we will put this command in here and hit enter. Right now it will work like a charm. Logstash, okay, -f, it's in there. And right now we will need to specify our pipeline, which is syslog.conf. So I'm going to run this one. And as you can see, we have some okay, so right now it started. It took a time. or some time to get it running. And now we can see some kind of data coming into Logstash. This is how it looks like. You can see the type is syslog. This is the source IP address, the pfSense box that is sending logs to this one, or syslog to this one. And here is our log. Now, because our Grog pattern is not tailored for the pfSense type of message, we were going to have a Grog parse failure. So we cannot parse this type of message. We were going to take a look at parsing messages at a later point in time, but not right now. Right now we are interested to get the data to Elasticsearch and see it in Kibana. So let's just go to our web interface. In Kibana, and let's go to settings or management, yeah, and then index patterns. And in index patterns, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create an index pattern, right? And curiously, there is nothing in this index pattern. There is all the data coming to Elasticsearch. So let's troubleshoot why it's not working. Let's check the configuration file of the pipeline. Okay, the pipeline actually is not in the Logstash file, but it doesn't really matter. Let's check the configuration of it. The input looks okay. The filter, we don't really care about it. And this is the index that we should send our logs. And I think I know what is the problem. Here we are lacking a plus sign that I forgot to put in. So I'm gonna save it. Exit. Move the syslog file actually to the Logstash directory. So move syslog to Logstash. Okay, it is where it should be. Let's stop the line right now, the pipeline, then Logstash, and we will run the pipeline one more time. And hopefully right now everything should go to Elasticsearch. So we will need to wait a little while for Logstash to start. And as you can see here, there was actually an error saying that it must be lowercase the index UUID. So here, because we didn't have the plus sign for the date, it was considering it as uppercase being part of the index set. So this is the reason why it was not going to Elasticsearch, and you were not able to see it in Kibana. And right now everything should work fine. Let's see if the port started. It's that minus 12 p.m. and yeah, it started. Let's see if we get some logs in here, and yeah, we get it. we get the logs in here. Let's go to Kibana right now, to the web interface, and let's check for new data. And it is, you can see it in here, it's called pfSense. So I'm gonna put an index pattern called pfSense, and I'm gonna do next. Then I will like to add my timestamp. You have some advanced options. I'm not interested right now in the advanced options, so I'm just gonna click on create index pattern. And right now we can we would like to, if we would like to see the logs, we can go on discover button, and there you go. Here are the pfSense logs. Now, the problem with this configuration that we are running at this very moment is that if you're gonna close this terminal session, or do something else, or for example, if your system reboots, your Logstash will not load the pipeline. So right now we need to find a way to load the pipeline. And to do this, we can check the configuration file of Logstash, which is in etc logstash and then logstash.yaml. And here we have some information about the pipelines. Yeah. The ID of the main pipeline. Anyway, it doesn't show you in here where you can actually put the pipelines or where you can save them. But if we will exit out from here and go to pipeline or pipelines.yaml, here it will gonna show you where the main pipelines will gonna go. So if you have multiple pipelines, you need to put them into etc logstash confd, and everything with .conf will be written. If you have multiple pipelines, you can create another pipeline ID, and then you need to specify the absolute path, including the file name, just to differentiate between the pipelines. I have tried once to run multiple pipelines, but it didn't work. For some reason, somebody in the community, Elastic community, said that there might be some kind of bug with the version of Logstash. But if you like to have to get data from multiple sources, you can create different inputs, and I'm going to show you later how you can do that one also in this video. So we will need to move our pipeline to this directory. I'm going to exit from here. I'm going to go to confd. Okay, let's see where we are exactly. We are in Logstash. So ll. So I'm going to move the syslog file to etc logstash confd and hit enter. Now let's go to etc logstash confd folder or directory, and there you go. You can see that our pipeline is in here. Now to make this process automated, we will actually enable. So for example, when your system restarts, your pipelines will be started automatically, and also the Logstash will start automatically. We will do a systemctl and then enable the service Logstash. Right now we will start it. And it says in here that it started. We will need to give it some time. If you want to see the when exactly it started, you can do a tail F and then var logstash. Yeah, this is the first time when it started, so we will need to wait for the files to be created. Let's check it one more time with status to see where it is right now. Okay, it's again started. So the log files, they are not created yet. Okay, and right now it says that it started to send logs to var log. Then okay, you can see it in here how they popped. Logstash, plain, and it looks like it started the ports. Let's check it out with netstat. So we have 1514, which is started, and next time when you'll reboot the server, your pipelines and your application will start automatically. Okay, let's generate some more logs, and we should be able to see it in the in Kibana. I'm gonna just refresh this one, and yeah, you can see it in here. It got 6 new messages. So the main problem of why it wasn't working, it was due to the fact that in here when I wanted to add the date, I was missing the plus sign, and then it considered everything else to be uppercase. So you need the plus sign, and then you need these characters to have a date. And where you see that date, I don't know if you noticed, if you have noticed for the first time, but the date, you can actually see it in the index pattern when you are actually looking for it or to create a new one. You can see here 2020 April 1st. It's much better to have it by date to get an idea about the information. Now, if you have multiple inputs, like for example, you have another device that is sending logs to you, you need to create another input or start another input with Logstash. So to do that, I'm gonna show you how you can edit. So let's add another input in here. Okay, and this time let's do it on 1513, and let's call this one, I don't know how to call it. Let's call it other. Yeah, so I'm gonna put type as other. It doesn't really matter. And in here we need to do some if and else statements. Nothing too complicated. So we will say that if the type is other, then we will send it to Elasticsearch. Actually, what I can do is that I can copy this one right here. Okay, and here, instead of pfSense, I'm gonna name it other syslog. Okay, so we have an open an open curly bracket, this one is closed, we will need to close it again in here. And else there is something else, like for example other types, and the first one that we have defined was on 1514 syslog. So if there is any other type, we will gonna do this one right here down below. We will send it to the pfSense index. And let's close the curly bracket for else. And here we can do it this way. The indentation is quite nice to have it, especially when you have a lot of text to work. Indentation makes it much easier for you to see the data. So let's keep it like that. Let's save it right now. And we will restart the Logstash application to load the new pipeline. And right now we should have 2 ports started for syslog. Now to point out something to you, I have the same pfSense box sending the same logs to Logstash, but one of them is on 1514 and the other one is on 1513 UDP port. And this is just to show you how you can create different index patterns and then differentiate based on that one in Kibana. Because, for example, I did the second input just to show you how you can do it to separate the index patterns in case you have, I don't know, routers or you have Linux servers that are sending data to Logstash. So right now they started, it's working, and we should go right now to the Kibana web interface. And let's refresh a little bit the information here. We will click on create index pattern. And you can see that there is the second index for other syslog. So I'm going to do other syslog. Next step, add our timestamp and create index pattern. Now we can go into Discover, and in Discover we already have the pfSense, but we can also go for other syslog, and here you can see the data which came in. So it's the same data, but it doesn't really matter if it's the same data or not. I just wanted to show you that you can have or configure multiple inputs, and if you would like to send it to different index sets, you can do that, and then you can differentiate. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did so, please hit the like button, subscribe, and talk to you guys in the next one.